Hej och varmt välkomna till Aktiedagen i Lund den 26 september idag 2022. Jag heter Gunnar Vrede och ska ställa lite frågor efter det här bolaget som kommer nu. Och det är inte mindre än Qlife Holding och vd heter Thomas Warthoe. Welcome to
Thank you very much.
Yes, this presentation will be in English and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Thomas Warthoe, I'm the CEO of Qlife. Qlife is a company on a mission to bring blood biomarker testing into the homes of common people. So in other words, we want people to be able to sit at home and measure on important biomarkers that relate to a condition or disease that you may have. So we want people to get access to the blood data that you normally would not have unless you have to call your doctor. The Qlife system here, as you can see on the table, is quite small. It's actually a little bit like an espresso system. It consists of a device and capsules. We don't have all the nice coffees, but we have capsules that have specific reagents for a particular biomarker, and that biomarker relates to a condition that you may have. And we will focus on the big diseases to start with and come out with also other big diseases and other conditions that are important to your well-being. Qlife has recently announced that we will be carrying through a so-called rights issue. That means that shareholders that are shareholders on the 27th of September, that means tomorrow, will be able to purchase one unit that consists of one share and one warrant. And the emission will run here start of October, from the 3rd of October to the 17th of October. We will be issuing 10.8 million shares at 7 kroner per share, and the warrant issue will run next year in June, where we also will be issuing around 11 million shares. We expect to get proceeds of around 76 million Swedish kronor from that. We already have guarantors of 70%, and that corresponds to 53 million. And in June of next year, we will hope to have proceeds of a maximum of 108 million Swedish krona, provided that the subscription is 100% subscribed. I will get back to how we intend to use that proceeds, but first a little bit about the company, the background and the status. So Qlife is built on these 3 mega trends that I'm showing here. We all know it. Healthcare systems all over the world are under pressure, and a lot of the routine tasks, such as blood testing, needs to be decentralized. And I usually say, what is more scalable than actually having people to do the blood testing themselves? So we at Qlife can help with that. The other mega trend is that we see that people that have a chronic disease, they want to have more control over their disease. They want to understand the disease better. They want to have data that they can correlate with maybe how they are eating, how they are exercising, and better understand the disease. We can also help with that. And then generally speaking, we all know it that lifestyle diseases is a big thing. Maybe we all live a little bit too quality lives, and we should be maybe a little bit more aware of if we are approaching a pre-diabetes or something, other serious conditions. And in order to get that knowledge, we need data. So we want you to be able, just like this young woman here, to sit at home, have the Ego Health platform in your home, and measure on a range of different biomarkers and feel that sort of level of empowerment that you can feel when you understand exactly how your health is doing. So the opportunity with Qlife is that you are buying into a company that has an already CE marked platform. We played a significant role, especially in Denmark, under the COVID pandemic with our 30 minutes PCR test that was sold quite a lot. And the platform is now ready to put other biomarkers on. We want to be a first mover into the field of personal health care at the clinical grade level. And that's a field that actually no one is in at this moment. So we believe we can be the first company really to make a big difference by giving people access to data at the clinical grade level. And then I always mention that the real value in our system is not only that we today can give you access to blood data, but also that we, for the individual, is going to accumulate a lot of health data that in the future can be used to combine with software like AI software, where you can start to actually put it together and calculate what is your risk for getting a disease in the future. So we are not only providing diagnosis, but we're also going in the future to provide prognosis. The market that we are looking into looks like this. At the upper left-hand corner, you see all the very successful gadget devices that we all have come to learn over the past 10, 15 years. They've been very successful. And at the lower right-hand corner, you see the professional devices that are providing clinical grade data. We are sort of combining that, and as you can see at the upper right-hand corner, there's only one other company than us that are actually going to be approved for self-testing in the homes at the clinical grade level. This other company is American. They're doing extremely well, but there's certainly this space, there's certainly room for a lot of players. So since we did our last emission, I believe it was in the winter, spring of 2021, we have been investing into these 5 areas here. Our product here on the table is now at a quality level where we can mass produce it. We have invested quite a lot into the regulatory. Since we went IPO, the EU has gone from an in vitro diagnostic directive to a regulative, which has made it extremely much more difficult to actually achieve this self-testing CE mark. So we invested a lot into that, and today we have a very skilled regulatory department that is capable of fulfilling all the requirements that it takes. We have invested into production. We have CGMP approved laboratories, so we produce under the right condition. And then we have invested into a commercial organization that last year revenued around 40 million Swedish krona from the COVID pandemic with our PCR, COVID 30 minutes test. And we have invested into people so that we today have an R&D organization that are quite skilled and capable of coming out with more of these disease biomarker capsules. So our investment case really builds on these 3 features here. We have a unique product. We build on important megatrends in society, and we are ready to launch the product now. And we will come out with more capsules, probably around 2 per year in the coming years. So here you are investing in a first mover company that's going to create a market for self-testing of clinical grade biomarkers in the home. So a little bit about the platform. The device is quite small. When people see it, they always get a little bit surprised that you can have so much technology in a small device like this. It's a cloud-based system, and it is working on these small capsules that goes into the device. The device connects to the cloud, and then in the cloud, the actual calculation goes on, and the data, the result is sent down to your smartphone. One feature I also wanted to emphasize here today is that during our development efforts, we realized that some biomarkers are measured in whole blood, but actually most biomarkers are measured in plasma. And so we realized we had to develop a small blood-to-plasma device that filtrates from 15 microliter of blood, which is a small drop of blood, into 5 microliters of plasma. So when you enter this small drop of blood into our device, out comes 5 microliter of plasma, which goes into the capsule, and then the capsule is put into the device. And then it runs, goes to the cloud, and gives you the data. The biomarkers I'm showing here, 8 different disease categories, are all biomarkers that we have shown can work on our platform. There are many more, but these 8 categories, chronic diseases where we are today, cardiometabolic, respiratory, wellness and metabolism, women's health, men's health, sexual health, vitamin, minerals, and then also we have a little bit of focus on the sports fields. But there are many, many interesting biomarkers that can be moved from the professional setting into the home setting. A little bit on our strategy. We divide our future focus into these two big sections. The first one is that we are focused on people with a chronic disease. We are going to launch towards specific disease fields in the beginning. A B2B focus for the professional institutions that are treating chronic diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, osteoporosis, and other autoimmune diseases. In Europe, there are more than 50 million people that are diagnosed with a chronic disease, and we are going to focus both on what we call the professional setting, but also in the private setting and selling directly to different types of clinics that can, for the first time, provide this service of validating their offering with clinical grade biomarkers. In the longer term, we will focus towards the mass consumer market, where we will basically launch a range of different biomarkers towards many different types of people, segments that are interested in measuring biomarkers related to whatever type of condition that they're concerned about. And this market is quite big. If you look at the self-testing gadget devices, which are not clinical grade data, but still is indicating what size the market is, we are looking at a market size of around 18 billion in 21, growing quite fast towards more than 30 million in 28. So we believe this is quite a significant opportunity for taking and moving part of the professional setting into the home setting in this type of big market. I brought this slide with me here because I think it's interesting. A company like Sony is also going into this field here, providing some sensor technology towards chronic people with chronic diseases. The two important numbers here are the 85 and the 60. Here they are asking if people that have a chronic disease, if they would be willing to use a professional device at home. And 85% is saying that they would. And 60% of those is saying that they actually expect that such a device would be part of their treatment. So there's also some drivers in the marketplace that indicate that this is the way it's going. We are focused on these 5 biomarkers here. The first one we are going to launch is C-reactive protein, CRP, which is a biomarker that indicates whether you have some level of inflammation in your body. It's not a specific biomarker, but it's a biomarker that relates to a lot of different conditions. It's the world's largest biomarker, so it's quite a big market. It's also the biomarker which is used by the doctors to see if you have a virus or a bacterial infection. So it's used in a lot of different indications for a lot of different things. Then we are focused on a biomarker called phenylalanine, which is a genetic disease called PKU, which is focused towards especially children and teenagers that are not capable of digesting protein. So they are on a lifelong diet, and they need to measure their level of phenylalanine in their blood basically every day, which is not possible today. So it's a very well-defined business case. They are really, really interested in getting access to our technology and device in order to measure their blood and get a better quality of life. Then we'll come out with a vitamin D test towards the end of next year. That's a test that more and more people realize is important related to different types of chronic diseases, and it's a nice complement to our CRP assay. We are working on an upgrade of our SARS product, which is going to be a differentiated SARS influenza product. And then we will also come out with a lipids test. We all are aware that measuring your cholesterols on a regular basis is important, and this is also quite a big market. So we are targeting B2B towards what we call disease control and health optimization. For disease controls, we mean the professional institutions where people with a chronic disease are coming once a month or or even more often to have their blood measured. And there's a big need to basically keep the patients at home so they can measure themselves and then send in the data to the doctor. We also focused on the private sector, where there's a lot of different clinics today coming forward, physiotherapy, dietary clinics, functional medicines, and they're all interested in sort of validating the services that they are providing with an actual blood measurements that indicates whether the treatment is actually working. Our pipeline looks like this. We are focused, we launched in 21 our COVID product. We are upgrading the COVID product to a SARS influenza differentiated product. This is a program which is actually partnered with the WHO and targeted towards low to middle income countries, where there's a big need for measuring respiratory diseases. So that's an interesting project as well. And then we are coming out here towards the middle of next year. We expect to file for the phenylalanine assay and get the approval hopefully towards during Q3 or Q4 of next year. Then our portfolio of so-called lifestyle biomarkers, CRP, vitamin D, and lipids is something that we are working on. We will bring our CRP product already on the market here in end of this year. We will submit the technical file, and then we have actually been allowed to put the CRP product on the market immediately while we wait for the actual approval. And then we will start to sell that and find out exactly, how we should sell it and what the demand is. And then when we get the actual approval expected towards the middle of next year, we will start to roll out full scale. And we will, in the meantime, complement and finalize the vitamin D and lipids assay. So my last slide here, really to indicate the proceeds from the rights issue that I talked about will be spent as it's indicated here. The first 64 million that we expect to have after issuance cost will be used on getting the approval of the CRP capsule. We will complete and file for clinical studies for our Phi capsules. And then we will continue to upscale our instrument productions, which is now outsourced to Finnish Scanfield. The production is actually going on here in Sweden. And it's obviously very important that we can continue to have the volume of devices that will sustain our revenues. So the outcomes from that will be initial revenue this year from the CRP capsule and continuing revenue during 23 and increased production volumes of our device. Once we have finalized the issues in June from the warrant issuance, we should have around 100 million Swedish additionally, which will go into the launch of the Phi test second half of next year. And we will definitely also invest more heavily into our commercial organization and continue the investment into R&D in order to be able to sustain more capsule into our menu of biomarkers. And that means that the company is expecting that we will see a profitable P&L for CRP starting 24. We should have revenue from the Phi capsules during second half of 23 and profitable in 24. And we expect positive cash flow from operations during 24. And during that time as well, we will continue to launch these with the two biomarkers, vitamin D and lipids. And at that time, we will have two more biomarkers under development and continue to launch that and so forth. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I'm not sure everybody has understood this rights issue. Mm-hmm. You are taking in 64 million Swedish kronor.
Yes.
As it stands right now in the rights issue. The additional 100, is that a warrant program or what is it?
That's a warrant program.
Yeah,
so
okay.
the issuance right now is that when you buy one unit, you get one share and the right to purchase another share through a warrant instrument in June of next year. So you're actually getting 2 opportunities now, and obviously we think that's a very favorable program. So we obviously encourage people to participate.
The price in June will be an average of the
yes, 14
stock
days.
Price?
Yes, 14 days before that, but a maximum of 10 Swedish kroners. And obviously, we hope and expect that the share price will be much higher at that time. So it should be a good offer.
All right. Then it's crystal clear. It's a fascinating product you have. I just wonder a bit about the home use market. I see that the professional market with laboratories and stuff, they buy things like this. The home customer market is a new one.
Yes, it is. Very new. It's a market that doesn't really exist today. But we think that people are actually quite interested in measuring on biomarkers related to different conditions, that they probably are aware that sooner or later, they might get into a gray zone or get a problem. And it's obviously much, much better to start to understand where you stand good time in advance before you actually get sick, so to speak. And I would also say in a world of growing populations with more and more diseases, the real key word is prevention. And we all need to understand exactly where we are in order to prevent all those bad diseases.
All right. I also want to remind the viewers that you are very welcome to put your own questions here. But also, this consumer market is, since it's new, how are you going to address it? How do you address a brand new market?
Yeah, that is actually very difficult. But that's also why we initially is focused on the professional market, where we are focused on people that already have a diagnosis. But we are also then slowly migrating into the markets where people do not have a diagnosis, but they have a perceived diagnosis. So a lot of people feel there's something wrong, but they actually are not diagnosed. And here it's very interesting for them to be able to get that data that tells them whether they're right or wrong, you could say. And that gives them some level of, it has actually been shown that when people start to measure on themselves, they feel already better because they start to get an understanding on how their disease is progressing. And most people experiment with, foods or exercise, and then they can follow them. What we actually want is that we want people to monitor on a regular basis and see if the trend is going up or it's going down. So it's something that you should continue to do over longer periods of time.
Who will you address in your marketing in the first place? I realize that if I have a chronic illness, I go to the doctor, and the doctor might say, you should have this home tester.
Yeah.
Go get it, and you'll be fine. Okay, I do that.
Yeah.
So in that case, your marketing will be to doctors.
Yes.
But in
that's
the long run,
yes,
you should advertise in the newspaper.
We will. Of course, we will. We are quite focused on setting up all the e-commerce platforms and be focused on digital marketing. And here, obviously, segmentation is extremely important. So we decided different segments, especially, people that have arthritis or osteoporosis or something similar. We are focused on initially trying to target with digital marketing. And then this whole area of retail clinics that are already providing sort of professional services, but today do not have access to this type of testing. So those are the segments that we initially are focused on. And then, of course, we would like to migrate further out towards people that are actually regular consumers, but simply has a wish to start measuring on their health. As I mentioned, we've seen that a lot of people are very interested in gadget devices. They've been very successful. So you can say we are just taking it up one step, going from data that are nice but actually not clinical to data that are clinical and actually mean something. And those data, of course, can be transferred to your doctor or to your health institution, and they can act based upon those data immediately.
What will this thing cost for the end consumer?
So right now, you can say the price is 995 euros. That's what we are selling it at. But in the longer term, within 2 to 3 years, we are hoping to get it down around 350 euros. It has to have a price tag where regular people can, and that's extremely low pricing. We are actually focused on selling subscription models so that we will provide people on a continuous basis with the biomarkers that they are choosing to get. But of course, that means we need to have a substantial portfolio of biomarkers in order really to do that. So initially, we are selling it as a standalone and capsules you can purchase.
And your business model is like selling this.
It is. That's the idea.
Yes, but there's also this biomarker cassettes, or what do you call them?
Yeah, we call them capsules.
Capsules,
yes. We are doing a little bit analogy, as I said, with the Nespresso, because it's a little similar that you have a device and you should have a range of capsules. But also, as I indicated, health data is extremely important for the future. And once you start to combine the data that this little device here generate with other types of data, you can potentially start to risk stratify people and find out, what are your chances for getting a cardiovascular problem in 5 years, something like that. So again, prevention, we can focus on telling people, when are you getting a disease potentially, and then you can act, obviously, to try to avoid it.
Okay, but I'm lingering at this business model. You're selling the what do you call the product?
We call it Ego Health.
Yes, but what is it? Is it?
It's a self-testing small device.
Yeah, okay, the device.
Yes, the device.
The device. Yes. You sell the device, and then you also sell the biomarker
capsules.
Capsule.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
And as a business model, what is it the capsules that will make most money?
Yes. Well, it's actually interesting because once you are in the professional setting, what we see is that they purchase not so many devices, but a lot of capsules for obvious reasons, right? They need maybe few devices, but have many patients. In the consumer markets, it's a little bit the opposite. Here we are not doing it yet, but we are hoping that, obviously there's a lot of people. It's a personal diagnostic device, so it's intended, one device, one person or a family. But there will be many devices and probably less capsules per person. Okay. So you could say it goes both ways. But in that sense, it is the sort of traditional razor blade model where you have a device and consumables.
All right. I think we have a question from the audience here. Yes, I will repeat it so the viewers can hear too. Yes, will Qlife own anything of the data produced?
Well, unfortunately today, we have to respect all the GDPR regulations. We are IVDR company, so we are regulated in many different ways. So we do not own the data. And we cannot we have the data in our cloud, but we cannot actually access it or use it. But if the user gives us the authority to do it, then we can start to apply different types of software on that data and provide different types of questions or answers to the user. But we need the authority to do it. Yes.
I'm afraid our time is up.
Yeah.
Just a fast last question.
Sure.
This rights issue that is going on, will it be the last one before you are profitable and cash flow positive?
We certainly hope so. Yes, what can I say? We certainly hope so, and we expect so. You never know, but and this is it is a new business. It's a little bit expensive business, but once we get going, we believe that the potential is tremendous.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Tack så mycket. Vi är strax tillbaka.